Hi everyone, it's Hugh Culver, the author of Give Me a Break. In this video, I want to talk about writing. You know, I spent a lot of years avoiding writing. Oh sure, I'd write proposals and I'd write correspondence, but I didn't write to create products. And finally it dawned on me that really there was nothing getting in my way except that my belief that I wasn't an author. You know, I would go to the bookstores and I would see other authors and I'd think, wow, like, who are these people? Like, who are these people that, you know, write these 200-page, 400-page books? Like, what kind of geniuses are they? And what I started to understand was that really, yeah, sure, that requires a lot of work, and yeah, they're bright people to have put that together, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible for us to write. Now, why is it important? Well, in the expert community, you know, if you're a speaker or seminar leader, or you're an author, or you're a coach, or an online marketer, I believe it's more essential than ever to know how to write. You need to be able to compose emails that are compelling, that motivate people to take action. You need to be able to create websites that have content that is exciting to read, that is intriguing to people, that poses questions, that gets them wondering, how are you going to solve their problem? And you need to create products. You see, I believe that in the new world of marketing, that one of the best ways to market is to start to give people content. So, you know, of course you may have products you can sell, and I really encourage that, and I have some really simple strategies for how to create those products. But I believe also you should be willing to create high quality content that you literally let people have for free. So it could be in the form of a free teleseminar or webinar, which I do regularly, which is one of the best marketing tools I've ever created or started to use. You should have reports, which are, you know, sort of a short version of an ebook. So this report is available to people that they can download, and they're going to learn some of your best solutions, some of the best results. It's not a sales pitch. It is high quality content. You could start to develop CD programs where you write out the content and then record the CD programs or DVDs. So I believe that writing is an important skill, not only for having products that you can sell to increase your revenue and your reach with your clients, but also so that you could reach out to people and let them basically try you on. You know, if the goal of our marketing is to get people to know us and like us and trust us, then what we need to do is we need to allow them to try us on. You know, in the old days, everything was behind the barrier. Hey, here's what I do. Check it out. If you're interested, call me or send me an email. People don't want to do that. That becomes a sales transaction. But in the new world, you say, hey, everybody, here's what I do. Try this on. Take this for free. Read this. This is what watch this video. This is what I do. So in this short video, I wanted to give you a simple framework, because what I've discovered is that once I get over my reservations in terms of being an author, the next thing I need to do is I need to be effective with my writing. Otherwise, it just goes on forever. So here's a very simple framework that I think is going to help you to understand, how do I go from an idea, from a concept or a topic, to actually having a finished product, so that this actually moves along smoothly and it doesn't take months or years for me to complete. All right, so here we go. Number one. You got to come up with a topic. So number one thing that I would encourage you to do is to listen to what people ask you. What is it that they ask you? You know, often when I finish a keynote presentation, for example, and I come down off stage and people come and want to talk to me, they're asking all sorts of questions. They're saying, hey, that's great, but how do I balance that with my family? Or, hey, that's great, but how do I do that if I have 2 jobs? Or they say, hey, that's great, but I'm not like you. I don't get up at 5 in the morning. So how is it that I can have more time in the morning without having to get up at 5 in the morning? Those questions are topics. You see, every time they ask a question like that, they are basically representing maybe hundreds or thousands of other people that had the same question but didn't have a chance to answer it, or didn't have a chance to ask it. So for example, I've had people ask me about, well, how do I get off my email? This is like driving me crazy. I can't get my work done. That became a report for me to write. How do you get off your email? I have other people that come up and say, hey, that's great, but I'm not the kind of person that always keeps their promises. So I love what you're saying around fitness, Hugh, but I get the gym membership and then I don't go. So I wrote a report around procrastination. I have other people that come up and say, well, this is fantastic, but how do I manage, my time in meetings? So I wrote a report about meetings. So every time when I listen to those questions, I ask myself, is that a one-off, or does that person represent a lot of other people? So first of all, I come up with my topic. The next thing that I do is I create a list of basically, it's like a brain dump, everything I know about that topic. So literally, I often use a flip chart or a sheet of paper. I start creating on the right-hand side a list of what do I know about that topic. So, maybe there's a resource material that I've read, an article that I've read that I remember. I can go and dig that up. Or I've taught this program before in different parts, so I can dig up the program content. Or I have some books on that material. Or I have a good quote. A great quotation is often useful to include in this list. So I have a great quote from somebody that I really respect and admire, and they have this great insight, or so whatever. So I put down facts and quotes and statistics, and all of this is my ammunition. So now that I've done my brain dump, I've got this list on the right-hand side, so I'm ready to go. The next part is to create a framework. You see, what I used to find was that my writing was all over the place, and because it didn't have a framework, it took forever to edit it. Because I had this, it didn't have a flow, it didn't point towards a conclusion, there was great little pieces and they were mixed up with really bad pieces. So now I use a framework that I can drop all of this into. So on the left-hand side of the sheet, I'm going to create my framework. And the framework that I always follow looks like this. First of all, I ask myself, what's the problem? So what is the problem that people are experiencing? Is it something about leadership? Is it something about time management? Is it something about personal health? Is it something about relationships? Is it something about effective meetings? Is it something about effective communication? So what is the problem? Start with the problem, and your objective is to let them feel like you are speaking about them. You should be describing something so they relate to it. They feel like you know them. I find one of the best compliments that somebody can give me after a keynote is to come up and say, it was like you were describing me. What a great compliment. I mean, what that means to me is they were paying attention. See, people will pay attention if you're speaking about them. So the story that you tell, the problem you describe, they should sit up and lean forward and think, oh man, that's me. I do that all the time. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to talk about how you relate to this problem. So why is it that you are an expert in this problem? So the next part is your story. So now, if you're writing this in terms of being a reporter, this will be different. As a reporter, you're going to give other people's story, other people's arguments. But oftentimes, we know something personally about this problem. So now we're going to move into, here's what I've experienced. Here's what I've gone through. I have been there. I have suffered. I sat through that meeting that bored me to death and went on over time. I have had problems listening and then realized I didn't hear anything that the person said. I have done all of those things. Your objective in this section is to help people to, first of all, trust you, to get them to trust you because you've been there and done it, but also for you to give them this feeling that what you've gone through to come up with a solution, they don't want to have to go through that. Like you've gone through it, you've been there and you've done it. So once they relate to the problem, you want them to trust you because now you are writing from a personal experience perspective. I've been there, I've done that. So you describe your story. So for example, I say, the problem is that we're in a world of distractions and communication and being connected 24/7. And here's what happened to me the other day, where I was in this conference call and I realized that I was being distracted by 3 different things that were beeping and buzzing and blinking, and I didn't hear anything that was going on, or something like that. So now we relate to you. The next thing you're going to move into, obviously, is your solutions. Now the solution is going to be a high-level solution at this point. So you've gone from problem to story to solution. So now you want to give them just sort of an overview. So here's like the 30,000 view of here's what we need to be doing. We need to be moving in this direction, or here's something that I have done which has really helped me. And following the solution, you're going to give them some kind of a framework or some kind of a details. So I'll just say details. So for example, you might have 3 things to do or 4 things to do. So this is perfect if you're writing a short report. It's an ideal way of organizing a report. After this, now you've said, okay, here's the problem, my story, and solutions and the details. You're going to move into, well, here's some tips, or here's some do's and don'ts in terms of how to execute that. So here's some do's and don'ts. So for example, you might say, one way to remember how to do this is, one thing you want to avoid is, or, when you slip up, just remember that you want to get back on track or something like that. So what you're doing is you're addressing the fears that most people are going to have. So as you provide a solution, a lot of people will have a yeah, but reaction. Yeah, but, I'm not exactly like you, or I don't live exactly where you live, or I'm not as old as you are, or my family situation is different than you are. That's the yeah, but. So you want to address that by saying, well, in that case, here's what you do, or here's something you should think about. And then the final step is you need to motivate people. All good writing, all reports should end by going out. They should end by motivating people that this is going to be something that's going to be enjoyable, it's going to be rewarding, it's going to alleviate a problem that they've got, and it's going to give them more of what they want and less of what they don't want. So the final step is to motivate. All right, so how do I bring it all together? There's my framework. The next step is to simply take my ammunition, what I created on the right-hand side of the sheet, and to move it to where it actually belongs. So literally, I'm going to use my word processor now, and I'm going to start to drop in these statistics and facts, these items, to where I think that they actually have a home. So, oh, that's a perfect place for that quotation. Oh, that's a perfect place for that statistic. Oh, that little story I love to tell on stage, or that I've written before. I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to put that in right there because it's a great way to illustrate that point. So once I've done this, I've got 80% of the work is finished. At this point now, I have got a great rough draft. I've got everything is in a logical order. I'm comfortable that this is going in the right direction. The next step I need to do is I need to give it some time. So usually at this point I leave it. So I park it for 24 hours, I think about other things, and then when I come back, it's a fresh project, and now I just start moving things forward, and I actually start to work on the paragraphs and work on the writing. When I feel like I've got something that's in a good place, like I've maybe worked on this for a week off and on, when I feel like it's getting quite close to the place where I think it's ready to maybe go out and get edited, send it to an editor, then I will send it out to my peers. So typically I'll send it out to 6 people that are, friends, colleagues, and I will just say, hey, just wrote this, would you give me some feedback? I don't tell them anything about it. I don't back it up with a whole bunch of, I've really worked hard, please go gentle. I just say, hey, listen, I just wrote this. I have no idea if it's any good. Can you give me some feedback? And of course, I would love to do the same for you at some time, whenever that's possible. And it's amazing the feedback that you get. You'll find people say, I don't understand this, this is fantastic. Right away, you get a sense of how your clients are going to respond. Once I get my review back, I go into edit and clean up. So there you go. Very simple little technique. Writing is so critical. And if you have any hesitations around writing, I really encourage you to, first of all, understand that it is something that anybody can do. Secondly, develop some skills around it. So you should really start to create some practice. I believe you should be writing every day, even if it's just 500 words in the morning. The next thing is you should have a framework. So in other words, a discipline, so that when I sit down to actually create something, I have a discipline which says, well, okay, here's what I need to do. First of all, I brainstorm the topic, what questions are people asking, then I do a brain dump, then I have my framework, then I drop it into my framework, and then I go out and get some help and get some peer review. So there you go. It's going to save you time. The quality will be better, and you're going to be able to get those products on the shelf faster, or to be able to give things away to your lists faster at a higher quality, so people will start to know you, like you, and trust you. All right, I hope that serves you. You can see how excited I am about this. I hope that serves you. So till we connect next time, be your best, see the best in others, and make it happen. Thanks for watching.